Hey, hey, hey. So a little bit different tonight. Sorry if we are running just a few seconds late. There we go. Okay, good, but you can hear me. As you can see, I've got a little bit of a different camera angle this evening as I am staring up at the webcam on my PC, the one that runs all of this. And the camera I have is working fine, but for some strange reason, it has decided to stop communicating with OBS. And so I need to figure out why. And I just tried and tried before the show, and it just didn't work out. So we will make do. I got this working anyway. So, oh, can you not? Let me try moving in on this mic a little bit better and turning it up a little bit. Does that help at all? Can you hear me better now? How about now? How about now? Hey, Apostate Alex at the chat. I see all the usual suspects and critics and fun people joining me here today, and I want to thank you for coming around and joining in this. Oh, good. Okay, so if that helped, that's maxed out right now, and let me just check and see if there's anything else I can do. I could probably crank this a little bit. Okay, so that's about as much as I want to put onto the mic here. I wonder why that is. Let me check something here. Since we're okay, let's try that. How is that any different? Is that any better? Is that any better? Okay, good. That's better. Went directly to the soundboard rather than going through the ATEM here. So seems to, okay, good. You guys are hearing me fine. Okay, good. I'm gonna, okay. Number one, number two, number one, that's right. Oh, well, okay. Wow. Well, thank you for letting me know about the door, Alex. Hey, right off the bat, before we, well, okay, no, we'll get to it in a second, actually. I'm going to share, we're going to talk about the good news with Alex here, but first, what am I thinking about indeed? What are y'all thinking about? Lots happening. So much happening. It's been a wild week. And we're not going to get into any of the, nonsense and stuff and drama and all of that, of course. I wanted to talk about bigger things. I always like doing that, but I kind of wanted to see, without necessarily turning it into a full-blown Q&A, I just wanted to sort of see what you guys were interested in talking about here. That's why I made it an open mic this week. I was kind of like, sometimes maybe we should just hang out. I don't know. As opposed to having some, set monologue or format or something like that. Maybe I can just kind of hang out with y'all. Oh, you were in Austin last week. Cool. Okay, so since you see I'm not joined by my beautiful wife, Melissa, this week, and she's just having an off week, and she's got another engagement, actually, with a family thing tonight. So we're going to let her have that, and that's that. When it's a jar. Okay, let the dad jokes begin. Now, Benson cam. Let's do that because it's really cute. And there it is. I decided to follow Benson around with the camera as he was following Mel around earlier. And so this is him in the kitchen with his attention sort of between us. What, her? What, me? What? And anyway, he was being very cute, as you can see. And yeah, I'll just let you absorb the Benson here. Oh, we do love this little doggy. Oh, exactly. That's exactly what he is all about, is the snacks. Cannot get enough of them. He'll even go on the floor. There he is, being hoovering. All right, let's come back. No, not that I've noticed OBG Foster. No, I haven't noticed Benson having issues. But you'd have to probably actually ask Mel. She does most of his grooming. Yeah, who's a good boy. That's right. But she's never mentioned that. What he does is he gets tangles in his face from the backyard, especially now. And yeah, puppy vacuum. That's right. He just hoovers it up. But he'll get these little crinklies or little plant stuff and little spiky things, right? And all his fur will get matted up into that. And that's what we have a hard time sort of getting off and combing out and that sort of thing. I've had to do that with him too. And you can do that without hurting him, and it's hard because they get so layered in there, you know. I don't know if you guys have that, but we have a pretty wild backyard. So that's what happens with him. Oh, well. I had, I need to say this right away too, before I forget, because I'm always forgetting stuff like this, but there's a very special donor out there. You know who you are this week, who gifted me something very incredible. And I want to thank you for that very, very deeply and publicly without naming names, because he didn't ask for that. And but it was quite a nice thing. It was a PC, basically a new computer, and that's really going to help me in what I'm trying to do here. So anyway, I'm setting that all up, and that actually had nothing to do with the camera issue, by the way. Completely separate things. I think what happened is somehow some camera mix up with Zoom from the live stream I did with Alex yesterday, and I'm not sure what changed, but something changed in the setup there, and I'm going to fix that and get that sorted out. Oh, absolutely. Anthony Spurgeon asked, could you analyze the Tom Cruise meltdown tape at some point? You mean the couch jumping? Or the you know what might be fun to go through is the turtleneck video. Right? I don't know. Which one do you count, Anthony, as the meltdown one? Or or are you talking about the interview with, what's his name? Guy who got busted for all the sexual harassment stuff. That interview on the psych stuff where he's talking about how glib that reporter was. Yeah. No. Tom Cruise was, who was that guy? I cannot remember his name. Sometimes it just escapes you completely. Matt Lauer, that's it. There you go. Yeah, which one? I was talking about the secretly recorded one when he's screaming at the guy for 10 minutes for standing too close. Oh, it's not really a whole lot to analyze with that, Anthony. He's just screaming at a guy because he's throwing his power and his weight around. And he was pissed because there is an awful lot of money on movie sets spent. I mean, every minute as a producer, when you're the producer, not the star, when you're the guy, the money man, and you're actually making the shots and calling all the budgetary shots and stuff, you know, stress levels are very high. And that's no justification for screaming and wailing and losing your shit at people. I'm just saying, you know, that's hardly Scientological. That's just Tom Cruise being a, you know, high-pressured dick. You know, I don't know if there's a lot more to analyze with that. There we go. That's better framing. Right? That's what I was just thinking, Debbie. Right? It is kind of weird. Which one? Which one are we talking about? Okay, let me share this really great news that probably a bunch of you have already heard. I was otherwise occupied today. And I did not hear about this until Alex told me about it, but I want to share it with you, and I'm just going to give it to you straight from what he told me. Because Alex met with this committee today, this complaint board, about the actions of the East Grinstead Town Council, and how they have omitted or taken out, they cut out sections of their meeting minutes, which is completely not okay for public documents. And there's been other shenanigans that these guys have been engaged in. So there was this hearing, and here's what Alex said to me today. Summary, the council admitted it was wrong. Okay, so these are the recommendations from the complaints hearing that are going to the city council, the town council. These are recommendations based on this complaints board. Council admitted it was wrong to redact the meeting minutes, going to unredact and censor only the personal allegations and leaving the questions asked, and Scientology mentions unredacted. So they're going to put some of the stuff that they took out of the meeting minutes back in. Panel going to recommend the council, A, review their policies and procedures around complaints, safeguarding the Scientology engagements, which is good. B, and I like this one, issue a formal apology to Alex and the other victims, because remember, there were a bunch of people who went to the town council meeting and spoke on how they were abused by Scientology. That was the entire point. And all of that had gotten cut out. So issue a formal apology to Alex and the other victims who may have felt attacked or discouraged from speaking out by the council's behavior, which was exactly, it seems to me, the intended result of what they were doing. C, ask Scientology to remove all town councilors from their promo videos and propaganda. Very good move. And D, meet with Alex for a briefing to educate the counselors on why this is an important issue and why they should consider Scientology a serious threat. So now, of course, the question is whether the council will accept the complaint panel's findings and actually do those things. But that is an official body issuing those recommendations, and that is just awesome. Awesome, awesome, possum. Oh, yes, that's right. I didn't know if I should include that one, Alex. That's right. As it says here in the chat, I think the most important highlight was the clerk's slip of the tongue when he referred to another town clerk as the town clown by accident. I tried so hard not to burst out into laughter. Yeah, good job, Alex. It's stepping up. It's doing something. It's going in front of official bodies, bringing the data, bringing bringing the knowledge, bringing the heat. It's good. It's really good. And I want to clarify myself, because I seem to be sometimes purposefully and sometimes probably not purposefully misunderstood. I mean, that's very, very possible that I have not been, I don't know, whatever. Maybe I haven't been clear. Protests are not a problem to me. What's a problem to me is when you go yell and scream at Scientologists and yell obscenities at people and stuff like that, or are basically rude and uncivil. And the reason why I have endorsed, called out, said, Jeff, PTS for Life, right, Alex and their protests, is because those are the ones I've seen that I look at and go, yeah, that's what it's supposed to look like. That's what I can agree with. That's the kind of thing I can agree with. If you expect me to watch 24 hours, 24/7, all the protesters' videos, why would I do that? That's not what my channel's about. Yet I seem to get communications that imply that I'm somehow out of some loop on this because of my gross opinions about the matter of obscenities and protesters and people who are self-avowedly not working to help Scientologists or get people out of the cult. And that's not where I'm coming from. And there's this line running around out there that there's no wrong way to protest. And that's just not true. There are lots of wrong ways not to protest. This isn't even my original idea, but I'm gonna voice it here on my channel, that there are wrong ways to go about protesting. And I'm sorry, but there just are, right? Throwing rocks, violently accosting people would be wrong ways of protesting. I'm not saying anybody's doing that right now. I'm saying those are examples of what I consider to be wrong ways of protesting, would be getting violent, throwing things, trying to hurt people physically, and getting, for me, looking at the kind of work that I do, trying to help people out of these groups, trying to help Scientologists, trying to shut the thing down, trying to do it from my end. It doesn't help me in my work to rile them up, get them mad, and get them doubling down on their belief. Because when Scientologists are attacked or are threatened, they pull in their flippers, they do the turtle thing, and they believe even harder in what they believe in, and it makes it that much harder to get them out. That's where I come from. That's my entire world, is doing the work of getting them out. So when people come at me with, well, you like these guys for yelling and screaming at people, I'm like, because you're only making my job harder. And I'm not doing anything to make your job harder, so why are you attacking me for saying, please don't do that? You can still protest in a civil, rational way and accomplish your purpose and not cut across mine. You know, we don't need to be at odds. I don't want to be at odds. I'm not just some crotchety old guy, you know. That's not where I'm coming from. But the disrespect that comes my way is definitely something that I don't appreciate. You know, new people coming into the space are welcome. I'm good. You have no idea how welcome I feel about more interest and more attention into this area. This is all I ever wanted. But it needs to be the right kind. It needs to be constructive and useful and helpful. And a lot of the people out there doing protests are very useful and helpful people who don't have any ill will in their body or in a bone in their body, right? And I'm all good with that. But I needed to get all this off my chest because people, because of the feedback that I get to some of the stuff that I've said. And I got the mic, so I got to make myself clear and I got to say it over again. So here I am doing that, right? Go protesters, do a good job, but please don't make my job harder in the process, right? And it really, I've been doing this for so long, and my intentions in regards to what I'm doing here are so clear that I shouldn't have to re-educate everybody every week on who I am and what I'm about. And it feels like that's how it is. People come at me and they don't know anything about me or my past or the Scientology space and how long we've all been fighting in it. So I very, very, very much want the help. And that's what I'll say about that. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Yes, I know. I'm very, very, very happy to see, OBG Foster, that there are lots of people on board with what I'm saying. I know that I am not alone in this, absolutely, and I'm sorry if I'm coming across in any way like I am, because that's not my flow at all, right? I know I'm part of a great big team, and I love you guys for the work that we do here and for the help that you give in all of this. I really do. Yeah. Okay, so let's acknowledge that part. Yeah, and Alex is just on fire. I just don't have any other words for it. The guy is just awesome. Keep going, please. Please. Yeah, exactly. There was talk about, an IRS protest, right? Like protesting outside the IRS. I thought that was genius. And it ended up being a bit of a bust from the one that I saw this last week. But if somebody were to, go, if you want to talk about correct targets, places to go where if you had a lot of people protesting in front of, IRS buildings or government buildings or something, that could even be newsworthy. That would be really interesting. Just like the Scientologists did, by the way, in the 1980s, as part of the way that they got their tax exemption, was they were out picketing and bothering the IRS all over the place. And I'm not suggesting to fair game the IRS like Scientology did. Not at all, right? Don't do anything illegal, but certainly bring pressure on that agency. And no, the lower agents that, are going to see your signs or whatever at whatever office you do at a local place aren't the people who decide tax, who's going to get investigated for tax fraud or nonprofit or religious status, right? 501c3. But it's still a correct target to go after that might get some public attention. And wouldn't that be kind of what the whole point is, right? So there you go. Let's see what we got on here. Oh, God, I would, I should reach out to Mike, see what he's up to these days. Because I kind of thought he was pulling back from being on the microphone and stuff, but I don't know. Maybe I should ask him. April 17th is the main day to protest at the IRS. That's right. All right. Cool. So, oh yeah. So Henny, you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to talk about for a second. Let me see if I can find your comment from earlier. Yeah. Henny says here how coercive control seems to be pervading our society, with many people falling prey to this behavior. Grooming, how ironic. My mind is weird. No, Henny, I hear you. And I saw your comments last week or in some other videos where you talked about, you know, how you had a lot of attention on some other recent revelations from, you know, cult stuff. I think it was the Ruby Frank thing or something to do with that, if I remember right from your comments. Oh, good. Oh, yeah, no, go ahead, Anthony. Plug away, especially John Atack. But to talk about coercive control in society, with many people falling prey to this behavior, let's just call a spade for a second. This has been going on, pretty much the entire time that three people have been around in the world, right? Because if one guy can get hold of two other guys and take control of them, there you go. There's your coercive control, right? I mean, not really. It's a little bit more to it than that, but you know what I mean. In other words, it's in all of us, in a way, to try to manipulate circumstances and situations, and that means other people, to our advantage. It's perfectly normal, perfectly organic. It's what we do. It's when you cross the lines of deceiving other people purposefully or confusing them so as to get them to do things that they wouldn't otherwise normally do, or pressuring them, or flat out intimidating them in such a way that you're violating their boundaries, violating their mental and physical well-being. All of these things I'm saying here are all where it crosses the line. And there's a million different ways that can be done. And that's the entire basis of our justice and our concepts of justice and the legal system and all of that. Is it's all about keeping that balance where people can interact and work together and, be manipulative with each other, sell each other things, tell each other false, sort of white lies or tall tales or, social stuff or whatever that we all do. And let's just be real and honest about it. We do. Your kids manipulate you, you manipulate your kids, you manipulate your spouse manipulates you. This is just humanity. But coercive control, once you find out about it, there might be a little bit of familiarity bias. I think that's what it's called, connected with this, where once you see something or are aware of something, you see it everywhere. And that's a danger that all of us have, no matter what we're approaching or what we're going into. You buy your Volkswagen and suddenly everybody's got a Volkswagen. It's like, where did all these bugs come from, right? Where'd all these Teslas come from? Where'd all these Accords come from? Well, it's just because you just got it and you're super aware of it. So now you suddenly see it everywhere. And I don't know that it's a whole lot different with this. And I only say this to try to allay some of what I thought from I was hearing in your comments, Henny, about, feeling a little bit overwhelmed by this, or a little bit like, what the hell, man? This, like, what's going on in the world? Is it getting worse? And I don't know that it's getting worse. What I do know is that there's more of us than there ever have been. And so there are more incidents of everything than there ever have been. There's more incidents of violence and there's more incidents of kindness. It goes all in both directions. And we actually live in the very best of times right now in terms of quality of life, quality of living. Worldwide, that sort of thing. And that's the sort of thing to try to keep in mind when we look at the world through the filter of coercive control. And this is something, and I'm talking about this because this is something I have struggled with, and I was relating to what you were saying in your comments. Because I've had this problem all the time of seeing it, sinking myself into it, reading about it, studying it, interviewing people about it, and then getting the idea, when you go out in the world, that all these evil people everywhere are doing all this evil stuff, and it can get really depressing. So that's what I wanted to say about that, is don't let yourself become overly biased in that direction, I guess is what I was kind of going with that. Red Pill, I am able to set up phone calls through the soundboard here, but I did not call the call-in line and set up the phone line yet because I was last-minuting the camera issues. So I can turn on the call-in line. So let me go ahead and set that up right now. I usually do this before the show, and you guys totally caught me with my pants down here, so to speak, because I didn't have time to set up everything that I usually set up. I will, let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm going to Bluetooth my connection. There we go. Oh, catfish, catfish. Hey, hey. Oh. You went into the Austin New Ideal Org Scion and pretended to be a total newbie. I didn't give my name and didn't let on that I knew anything about Scientology. I said I was curious. I was nice. Great. Tell, exactly. And? Henny, absolutely. While X-Scion is filling in the blanks here, absolutely. I totally hear you when you say I'd like to see more kindness. I feel very overwhelmed with constantly negative events. Perhaps it's me and my thinking. Yeah, I'm not pointing the finger at you in terms of any kind of blame here. What I'm suggesting is simply that we expose ourselves to good as well as bad, that we take the time to give ourselves the perspective of how the world really is versus how the media wants to present it to us. And I don't mean some evil media conspiracy consortium of awful that, you know, that there's these evil people who are trying to oppress us. It's in us. We oppress ourselves because we are constantly clicking and looking for the drama and the conflict in the world. And if we don't have enough of it in our own life, we got to go look for it somewhere else. And we suck it in and suck it up. And that's what gets our attention and gets our brain active and gets all the chemicals going. And that's just the facts of it, right? That's just how we are. And so at scale, when you extend that out to everybody or lots of people like America, you get, you know, a ton of people who are going to click on all the controversial stuff that gets thrown at them and complain about it and be entertained by it or rubberneck it or be very, very activist about it and be very, very serious about it and want to engage with it and want to do something about it. It's not all just rubbernecking, but whether you're entertained by it or whether it's actually something really serious for you and you are going down, you know, all the rabbit holes and you are really involving yourself in trying to do something about that problem, you still have to remember to take breaks, right? To step away from it. Because it can be overwhelming when it is conflict-driven, negative stuff because it keeps your fight or flight stuff going. And that is a chemical thing, and that's a brain thing, and it's exhausting because your brain uses all this energy, right? 20%, 25% something of your body budget of energy goes to powering just this organ in your head. So it's all kind of a thing. I'm trying to kind of put it all together. No, I'm still, sorry, Red Pill, I'm still connecting. I got distracted and got back onto that because I don't want Henny to feel bad, and I don't want any of you guys to feel bad. If I can do anything about it, I want people to feel better about their life in the world, you know, because there is an awful lot of bad out there. There's no question about it. But there's also so much good. There's so much good going on. Okay, so we've got that connected. Now let me close everything here. Go to host the show. All right. And I'm going to try to do this without distracting you guys with the pre-connection stuff on the mic. So I'm just going to do it here on the phone like we usually do before the show. Call into the line. And put in my PIN. All right. So good. So now the phone lines are open. Let me crank up the volume on that so that when we take a call, if and when we do, you guys will be able to hear it. Okay, good. Did that help any? Okay, yeah. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so let's see what Xenu is saying here. Went to the Austin org. Okay. I asked one of the receptionists how she got into Scientology. She said her parents were Scientologists and started by taking a learning how to learn course that helped her. Yes, of course. Second gen receptionist, huh? That fits. Yeah. How many staff members? Oh yeah, you went in during the day, right? So I guess we're going to talk about Austin Day org, or was this? Did you say this was on the weekend, Xenu? So it would have been Foundation. Take a look here. Oh, you didn't say what day. Okay. Yeah, if, I'd be curious. But either way, I was kind of curious about how many staff you saw, any other public milling about, how transparent are their service areas and stuff. Over in Twin Cities, they have this gigantic 80,000 square foot building or something. And I didn't mention the phrase second gen. Yeah, I'm sure. They have this gigantic building, and it's a big fishbowl. All the walls of all of the course rooms and everything are all glass, pretty much. There's some that have solid walls, but you can see almost everything. And it's just also empty, right? 3 staff on the org board in Sunderland. Yes, that's right. That's a tiny little pipsqueak place. I'm thinking that that's probably going to fit with their FEBC org board, the new one that they've come back with. I haven't actually looked that up as to what that FEBC org board would look like, but so I'm still kind of curious how they've translated that. Let me see if this... let's see if this call is going to work here. I'm going to try to pick this up now. Okay, Travis, are you there? Okay, I can hear you somewhere. Where are you? Yeah, I can hear you on my phone here. Oh, let's try it that way. How about that? Hello. Nope, still on the phone. That is very interesting. I'm hearing you here. Is it coming across on the, I'm sorry to be so confused, guys. I really apologize about this. It was just a real fiasco setting up today. Travis, give me a 1, 2, 3. Yeah, no, I'm not getting it on the thing here, and I don't know why. I am connected on the Bluetooth to my soundboard, but no sound is coming through, and I've got the sound levels up. I'm going to apologize because I cannot take calls and do it this way, so that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to let you go, Travis, and we'll have to try this again next week. I'm sorry. I truly apologize. All right. Yeah, that sucks. I do not understand why, and that's the problem. So, a little embarrassing. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to address that here, Dreamer. Not going to get into that right now. Oh, that's an interesting question. Catfish has left me a question in the comments here that I will take up here. Says, do you think L. Ron Hubbard was aware that he was potentially creating little children with empathy deficits because of his child birthing and raising policies. No, I do not. I don't think L. Ron Hubbard gave a second thought to that. He wasn't that guy. L. Ron Hubbard didn't have, I can't find any evidence that he actually loved his children. I can find evidence that he used his children like tools, and that when they weren't compliant with his wishes, that he discarded them. You know, sort of psychologically, emotionally, whatever. He was just not there for them. And I think that he didn't give a care in the world about it at all. I think that's just kind of who he was. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, Xion now says, I went there during the day and asked if they would show me around, but she said that she wouldn't if I didn't give my name. I asked how many staff they had, and she was evasive. Okay. Okay. Typical. Yeah, they're definitely in turtle mode right now. If y'all, I mean, obviously, right, with all the protesters and everything, but more so than I've ever seen them. I mean, they won't even like show you around if you don't give their name. They are definitely repelling people now. Openly. Hubbard would be furious. Furious. No, the soundboard's definitely connected to the computer, Alex, so you wouldn't be able to hear me at all. Because this mic goes into this board goes into that computer, and that's how you all hear me. Yeah, it must have been something with the, something got messed up when we did the live stream, because I had to reconfigure everything for the Zoom call, and somehow this camera that I'm pointing to over there, the usual camera I use, got somehow disconnected even though it works. And now the phone thing, I got to do a whole reset over the weekend on this and make sure that we're all good, and then we'll try again on Sunday after I have everything all tested and configured and reset. Just like I said, at this point, it's just a little embarrassing, but it hasn't cut across our ability to do a show. So I figured, well, I'd rather do something than nothing. So here we are. Okay. No, absolutely, Alex. I will definitely be going through all the basics in putting all this back together again. That's for sure. Oh, Catfish says, I was thinking more about the policies he put out there for parents to follow, treating children like adults. No sound while giving birth, etc. Note to speak to if useful. Right. Okay. No. Again, I would have the same answer in terms of even in that direction of advising his Sea Org members or his staff in how to deal with children. Came all this cultural crap about adults in little bodies, and they're there, and a being is only as valuable as he can serve others, and they're little cadets that we're going to turn into Sea Org members, and we're going to do with this whole schooling thing and stuff, and we're going to use these kids. Basically, he thought of them as tools, right? They were something to contribute to the cause, or they were useless. And if they were useless, they were useless, right? Then they're no good. They're not useful. So what do you do with things that are useless? Right? I don't laugh in humor here, right? This is just really bad. And that's how Hubbard, because I think it fits along with the line of the narcissistic megalomaniac personality that we know he had. When I believe a way of translating what that looks like for the person who's living that life, for the narcissist, for the megalomaniac, I think the world through their eyes is one of a shark, of a predator, of a person who views other living things as tools in their movie, right? NPCs, I should say, right? Not they're the side characters. Everybody else, is an extra in their movie. There's the best term to use for it. And they're just there to be used. For pleasure, for material gain, for, whatever. That's what they're there for. And if they are not any good to you, then they are just not something worth putting any time or effort or attention in. I think it's that, I was about to say black and white. I don't want to say it's that black and white, right? But it's kind of, you know, I don't know. It helps me think with that. That's how I kind of think about it. Okay. Oh, red pill. Okay, great. I think this is what he was calling about. The Scientology staff contract explicitly states that the Church of Scientology doesn't make any claims. Do you remember signing that part? It goes to show how evil they are. I said my name was curious. Are you curious? Sorry, I'm totally jumping from one to the other here. Red pill. Yes, I do remember signing that, and I do remember that being in the contract. And of course, you know, you didn't ask, but, you know, just to comment on this, when you're a believer, you just kind of look at stuff like that and you go, well, they're just having to say that to satisfy the legal authorities. Of course, they can't make any claims, but we know what really goes on in these buildings, right? We know that there are all kinds of claims being made, and we are here to achieve what is being promised. And we know that's just legal mumbo jumbo. Whatever. Yeah, you got to say that. But we know, you know, that was my thinking, at least, when it came to stuff like that. Yeah, Red Pill had the same thing in Dallas. That's right, with someone who was very guarded and nervous when I asked questions. I'm telling you, they are really on a war footing right now. They are not liking new people coming in. And they really don't have anybody else but themselves to blame. They you know, it's not just a matter of protesters protesting that's caused this. This has been going on for years. We've been talking about this, that, and recent events have absolutely exacerbated it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the protesters haven't had any effect. They very clearly have. But I'm saying that that's not where this all started, right? Scientologists have been pulling in their flippers ever since, you know, this whole ideal org thing started happening. Really since the 90s, when Miscavige kind of pulled the plug on massive dissemination programs for Scientology outside of the Super Bowl ads every year. That's all they fucking do is Super Bowl ads. And that's only in some selected local markets. It's not even like the big ones. So, so they're not, you know, Miscavige is not doing what you would need to do, regardless of, and I've guessed every guest now over all the years here as to why he's not. You know, it's either incompetence, maliciousness, indifference. I don't even know. What I do know is that they're not doing the job of spreading the word of Scientology the way it used to be done and could be done in this world, in the digital age, in the internet age, if they were really interested in and had it together as to how to spread the word. But they can't, because the word has been spread more far and more wide and more effectively how toxic and abusive and dangerous Scientology is. And that messaging has completely eclipsed. I knew I could get that word in here somewhere this week. It has completely eclipsed Scientology's efforts to disseminate Scientology, right? To proselytize. So that's really, as far as I'm concerned, that's their biggest problem. And then on top of that, the thing that makes it even better, is that, Hubbard's policies, the ones, if they have them even in the orgs anymore, but the thrust of policy over and over in numerous places is that you do not ever blame an external source for down statistics inside the orgs. It's always on the staff. And it's not on the staff that the church has a negative, toxic image in the public eye. That's not the kind of thing they blame themselves for. Right? They blame themselves for not working hard enough, for not, you know, slaving hard enough, for, you know, all that crap, right? All the self-blame crap. And that's what they do. And so the staff, just the harder the statistics go down, the harder the staff are getting, you know, pressured, beat on to get them up. And the more they're told it's your fault for not getting them up, you know, even though the staff are What do they do when people walk in? What's your name? What's your number? Where are you from? What do you want here? You know, like they're all like shell-shocked, you know, which is, I don't know. Some people would say that's really great. I think it's a natural outcome of Miscavige and his leadership that this has gotten to the situation that it's gotten to. You know, that's what I think. Okay. One Love 51,000. Okay, One Love 51,000. Question, Chris, in the beginning, how much did you think was just thrown in there? I imagine your brain puts all that to the side when you're joining with good intentions. How much was thrown in there in terms of the legal contract? Because I think that's what you're referencing. I think, I don't understand your question. Could you clarify that for me, actually? Because I'm not sure what the context is or what you're actually asking me, and I want to make sure I answer the question you've asked me. X-Science says, I also asked if I could take a picture of the cool Scientology emblem behind the front desk, and they said they didn't allow any photos because they wanted to protect the privacy of the members. Yep, I can see that. LDS Church does something similar. That's right. It's because a member has something negative going on with them, lack of belief. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know you cannot even be allowed into the temple in Salt Lake City. I know that, if you're not a high-level Mormon. Pretty typical. You know, they're really, like I said, they got the turtle shell out. They got the flippers pulled in. So, oh yeah, Chad in the chat here. Yeah, I saw you at the beginning, Chad. Yeah, I don't know if you're just trying to take the piss or what with that video you made about me, but I you know, cool. Rock on, man. Okay, so let's see what else we got going here. Oh, yeah, okay, good. So that was in reference to the legal mumbo-jumbo. I wondered how serious you took that. Okay, thank you for clarifying that for me, because now I can answer that. I didn't take it seriously at all. The thing that stuck with me that I always did remember because it bothered me was not the legal mumbo-jumbo around the claims or we don't do medical claims or any of that stuff. The working hours didn't bother me. The volunteer status didn't bother me. What bothered me was the representation that staff pay was pocket change. And I never forgot that. All the way back to Santa Barbara in the 80s and 90s, right? It always bothered me because L. Ron Hubbard's policies did not say shit about pocket change. L. Ron Hubbard's policy said you were supposed to be able to make a living wage on staff. You were supposed to get paid, and you were supposed to get paid good. And that was supposed to be a reflection of the work that was being done by the org to pull in income and free beans, right? Save people, all that. And that was what the policy represented to us. But then the legal contract we signed says, yeah, you're not making any money. And if you do, well, it's just pocket change, right? We don't owe you anything. And that was not cool. I didn't like that. So that's the only part of the contracts that stuck out for me. Oh, there it is. Temple-worthy Mormon. Yeah. Thank you for being a high-level Mormon. Okay, got the difference there. Thank you. Thank you on that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Alex. 367 pounds for... exactly. And that's the way it is org by org, right? For little bits and pieces of time. You know, you hear about people getting a couple $100 a week, and that's not even remotely a living wage. And that's the best they can do. You know, this was supposed to be a complete turnaround. They were supposed to turn all this around 10 years ago. Another one of Miscavige's broken promises. Okay. Temple attendance is open to all members as long as they meet certain requirements and continue to meet those requirements. I'll have to look into that more. I've had a different idea about that. I figured one of these days after April, after I get some projects done, I'm really looking forward to doing some deep dives into these other groups and kind of getting as into the Maybe not as into the weeds with those guys as I get with Scientology, because let's face it, I had, decades of experience with Scientology. I don't think I'm ever going to know any of these cults as well as I know Scientology, but I really do want to learn a lot more details about these other groups. I know the broad strokes. I know a lot of the history and a lot of the nonsense, and I certainly understand the frameworks of control that these cults, all of them, from the Jehovah's Witnesses to the Mormons to all the rest, Moonies, 2x2, the family, all of it. That's all same from one to the other. Once you get that, it's very easy to see those parts in action. And to me, that's the important part. But I'm curious about how they're doing it and how the frameworks of control are put together. Because I feel like I understand how Hubbard did it now. I feel like I have a pretty complete picture now of how that whole thing does what it does. And it's all here on my channel. It's not like I haven't shared it with you guys. So I kind of want to, get to that kind of level with some of these other groups too. And I think that'll be fun. Yeah, thanks, Red Pill. Absolutely it is. Yeah, there's no question about it. I know some people have very strong opinions about Mormonism and it's not a cult and that sort of thing, but I'm sorry, it is. There are certain checkpoints that it absolutely checks off. Just objectively speaking. And I don't say that to be harsh or mean to anybody at all. I really don't. It's just kind of sky's blue. Mormons are a cult. It's kind of how it is. Yeah, exactly. High pressure religions and cults all have these common denominators. Yeah, 200 pounds for a whole week, Alex. Wow. Oh, OBG Foster has a good question. Were you discouraged from ordinary medicine like allergy meds? You're goddamn right. Yeah, all the time. All the time. Yeah, no aspirin. I didn't take ibuprofen until I was like in my 30s, I think. Even then. Maybe not even until... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe a handful of aspirin in my life up until I left the Sea Org. You just didn't do it. You just didn't take it, right? I was just discouraged. It was just, there's always other solutions. Solve it with Scientology is the mantra in Scientology, based on a bulletin Hubbard wrote. He called it that. He said, solve it with Scientology. If you got a medical problem, you got an issue, you got a problem, there's something in Scientology to solve it. And that's the kind of thing that, kind of like with when you see the parents of children in the hospital who are praying over their child because that's what they believe is going to affect a change in the physical problems and condition of the child. That's truly where their heads are at, right? They're completely in this other place where this is the medicine that the child needs, not this blood transfusion, right? Say Jehovah's Witnesses. And they just aren't going to go there. Just no, that's not a solution. Now, why would I do that? Right? Well, Scientologists, at least for me as a Scientologist, it was kind of the same thing. It was like, well, why would I go to that false, fake chemical solution that, maybe is messing with my body chemistry? Why would I do that? I don't even know what it's doing to me. Nobody seems to know. So why would I take that when I can go get an assist, or I could go take some CalMag and vitamins, and now I'm solving it naturally, organically, the way L. Ron Hubbard says to. That was the attitude I brought to that problem, or that question. Oh my God, it's already been an hour. How does this happen? I love you guys. I love talking with you guys. We just shot the shit for an hour. I didn't even have anything prepared at all. And I completely came in like, no idea what we're going to talk about. Wow. Good stuff. I think, good question, Red Pill. What are some other Christian-related cults in your opinion? How about JW, Seventh-day Adventists, etc.? I think we see shades of cult behavior in a lot of evangelical groups, which is why I've done so many podcasts about that, with Clint Haycock and others about Christian nationalism, dominionism, the sort of religio ideological movements that have sort of coalesced in certain areas of our country, where the church and state division is not only not recognized, it's become the opposite world, where they're fused at the hip. And I think when we see that kind of thing, we are seeing not just, disturbing behavior on the part of, from a civil perspective, but from a cult, right? Like, in other words, they get kind of extreme in their beliefs, and they get real black and white really fast, right? It's Jesus or the highway, and it's my interpretation of the Bible. It's not just some, you believe in Jesus, okay, you're all good. It's, if you don't believe in my version, right? I'm reminded a little bit, just because it's appropriate, because some of y'all might have seen it, right? If you've seen the any commercials for that movie coming out, Civil War, I don't have any real strong opinions about that movie yet, one way or the other, because I haven't seen it. I've read a bunch about it. But there's that scene with Jesse Plimpton. I think Plimpton. Anyway, he's a great actor. And Jesse Plemons, right? Kirsten Dunst's husband. There's this scene where he's sitting there with a gun, confronting these guys, and he's like, "Well, what kind of American are you?" Right? And I said all of that just to say, in these groups, it tends to be, what kind of Christian are you? And you can practically see the gun pointed at you when they're asking you, right? It's like, oh man, these are very serious people, and scary because of that. Right? I don't have a problem with religion, but I do have a problem with where some people take their religious beliefs. That's what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with people believing stuff. Oh, Jesus and John Wayne. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so let's address this one last thing, and then we'll wrap up. Fluffy Wick said, I saw a short YouTube video where a business person was condemning Grant Cardone for an interview where he called poor people selfish because they only think about themselves. He said that? Grant Cardone actually said that? Fuck off. There's nothing like, this is such dangerous territory to get into this, because it can be turned on people who it shouldn't be turned on. But it's true, though, when you get to these narcissistic type of megalomaniac people, and I'm not clinically diagnosing Grant Cardone, but that man is one of the prime examples of the predatory personality when I'm talking about that kind of person. Grant Cardone epitomizes almost everything I talk about here. And the thing about that personality type and the behavior of those kinds of people is every accusation is an admission. It's a confession, right? It's like all they do is think about themselves. Why would he say that? Because that's how he sees the world, and he lays that on them. It's called projection. It's not like, it's just, what? How can somebody in his position, 10x, take your life, rah! How do you even begin? How do you take somebody like that, and he is going to punch down that hard on a bunch of people that have nothing to do with him, that he's never even gone and talked to, that he doesn't know anything about? Are you kidding me? Like, dude, do you not have an ounce of self-awareness? And of course, that's the thing about these guys. They don't. They don't. As shocking and weird and strange and bizarre as that is, they don't, So it's madness. Oh my God, yes. I forgot that cute saying. When one finger is pointing at someone else, three fingers point to you, Grant. That's right. Yes, it does. That's a great way of putting it. It truly shows his inner darkness. Oh, I love that phrase. That is good. That is so good. Because, you know, what else can you say to that? It's just inhumane. Well, I don't know. You want to throw one more thing at me before I get going here, or should we wrap up? I'm just having fun with you guys. Let me take a sip here. One thing this does do is dry my throat out a little bit. Horrible stuff. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up because I gotta fix everything here. Okay, you guys are gonna get a podcast tomorrow. Let me tell you. It's an interview. It's with a woman who grew up in a cult on a farm. You know, there's this really interesting thing I'll mention real fast here. Give us your best Scientology's pickup line. Oh my God. Okay, I'll get to that. But on a serious note, if you look into individuals who start cults in off-the-grid places, troubled teen industry stuff, religious stuff, right? Individuals who gather 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 people around them and they all just disappear. That's the world that this guest I have tomorrow, is coming out of. Sorry, I kind of conflated that with troubled teen industry because they're similar. She was not out of the TTI. She's not coming out of that world, but she is coming out of an off-the-grid cult, and that's the point that I wanted to make there. Yeah, you guys are asking me about things that I'm really not going to get into. This is, let me clarify again for everybody right here. When I'm on my channel, when I'm talking to you guys on a mic, I want to talk about long-term, cool, fun, interesting stuff that I think is going to make a difference in a positive direction. And that's why I don't here in this place and with my channel, I don't get into, or I try to avoid getting into talking about other creators or other channels or other disputes or problems or issues. I'm just being, just frank. I just don't want to get into it here. And I try not to get into it publicly anywhere else either, really, because it's not really, it's like, okay, could we help people? Could we get on with that? That's what I want to work on and work in the direction of. So, oh my God, Alex. Okay, so here's Alex's pickup line. Hey, I know it's off policy and you have to do the grades properly, but fancy a quickie. And I know nobody's getting the joke because a quickie is another one of those inside Scientology things because of quickie auditing or quickie grades. It's a term in Scientology. If y'all don't know about that, I don't know how many people know that. Anyway, yeah. More out loud laughing. I was going to say, something along the lines of, hey, baby, what's a Thetan like you doing in an org like this? Something equally stupid. I was never, in case you didn't guess, I was never really the smooth operator with that stuff. So, yeah, I'm not going there. Okay. All right, guys, thanks for coming around. I always appreciate your viewership, always appreciate your support, and always appreciate that you appreciate what I'm trying to do here. Really do, right? It means a lot. So thank you very much. Oh yeah, of course, X-Sign knows about quickies. Squeeze your cans. Guys are great. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So podcast tomorrow, Q&A show on Sunday. We're just doing them live. And so, Sunday, 1 o'clock, my time, join me here, and we'll have the whole formal Q&A set up and all of that, and I'll have all this fixed by then. And then Monday, Tony's show. So pretty usual weekend of amazing content for you, and I hope you'll check it out. All right. Bye-bye, guys.